Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio,
where we get into show business.
Uh-huh.
And we rank our favorite non-spectacular Disney shows across all 4 Walt Disney World theme parks.
Yeah, and it's not that they're not spectacular, like the descriptor.
Of course.
It's that, yeah, this was a hard one because we already did nighttime spectacular shows.
Right. We didn't want to include the things that go back and listen to our nighttime spectacular episode.
Yeah. And then
you'll know our feelings.
Sometimes I was thinking of a show and I was like, oh, that's a pre-show. It's so good though. I think of it as a show.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes is the pre-show part of a good show. Not a lot of shows that have pre-shows, really.
Well, yeah, no, it's usually rides.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few that we'll have to talk about, and he might throw one of mine out. It happens. It's okay.
Because it doesn't
Because it
qualify
doesn't
as a show?
qualify. Yeah.
Huh. I think...
You know the one. Do you know the one I'm thinking of? That I'm like, we're always like, is it a show? Is it a ride?
Perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
And probably just from that alone, our listeners will know what we're talking about as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it definitely rides the line.
Yes. So shows, like shows that you can go to all the time, are, if nothing else, a great time to sit down. You know what I mean?
Yes, air conditioning.
Yeah, I don't care if you're not like a show person.
In
It doesn't
most
matter.
cases.
You know what I mean? You still will appreciate that. I don't know if one of our listeners can tell me that, or I mean, maybe you know. Although I've heard you're not a doctor.
That's the word on the street.
He says that all the time. He goes, I'm not a doctor.
That's true. It's good to let people know.
Yeah. I feel more like fatigued or I have more back pain from standing in line than even walking around.
Yeah.
I feel like standing in line doesn't count as resting.
Right. Just to remind everyone, I'm not a doctor. But that makes sense to me because I think that's when you're more like leaning and like twisting and you know what I mean? You're
maybe.
Or maybe you're just hunching over.
I feel like it's a lot of just standing still in one place.
Because are you standing up perfectly upright with your
I do have pretty
good
posture. Yeah.
Oh, well maybe your spine's just
But maybe
tired.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Anyway,
I think I've got good. I used to have good posture and people would comment on it. I haven't had a comment on it in a decade, so maybe I don't anymore.
Oh no.
Who knows?
Let's everybody listening to this podcast and us here on the podcast. Let's all use this time to improve our posture.
Let's do some stretching.
Everybody mind your posture while you're listening to the podcast. I'm just kidding. Relax.
Relax. Yeah.
Plenty of time to fix your posture later.
I would say like the longest line that Jake and I stand, the longest line that we put up with right now is actually Guardians. Because even with a virtual queue, we wind up in that line for an hour. And by the time we're about to get on, my lower back hurts. And I'm like, if I were walking the world in Epcot doing miles, it wouldn't hurt like this. It's weird. It's weird.
It is weird.
Anyway, a show is a good time to give your whole body kind of a break.
Yeah. You learn new things about your body when you're at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Like that. In
addition to taking in the entertainment. But some shows are amazing and then some maybe no.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about non-amazing at all?
I have to confess that when I was making my list, I couldn't stop myself from making categories.
Okay.
The top 10 is what we agreed upon doing.
Right.
But I also added honorable mentions and a category called Boo for the shows that I think...
Oh, I can't wait. I
have to stop myself from booing at.
So in my research for this podcast episode, I went back and watched some YouTube videos of shows that aren't around anymore.
Yes.
You are doing past and present, right?
I am.
Okay, great. And some of them, I was like, wow, this isn't good. I can see why it's not around anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. So are we starting at 10 and then working our way up like we normally do, or what do you think? I really want to hear your boo one.
I have to say something before we even go there.
Okay.
I do have multiples that I've left off that I would consider to be greatest attractions. You're just doing Walt Disney World, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't get to experience them in their full glory, so I don't know how to rank them
Oh,
appropriately, I
okay.
guess.
Let's see. I might have put some on here that I didn't actually experience. And
I will say all of mine
no,
are, I would say, present day because I left out,
okay.
some things from the past. But I'm sure they'll come up either in yours or I
Well,
can honorable
mine are
mention.
mine are mostly present day or pretty recent, and I did
Okay.
experience all of them at least once. Although one of them I don't really remember experiencing it, but I know I did.
Okay.
But between my kind of really fuzzy recollection of experiencing it and watching YouTube videos of this multiple times, I knew it could make my top 10. I'd love to
Okay.
have it back. So, but there, like, I didn't make a list of some of the ones that were bad, and this is definitely going to be controversial, but let me just say, I never experienced Kitchen Cabaret in real
Oh,
life,
yeah.
but I knew about it. Obviously, now they talk about it even in the Guardians ride. We've talked about it. I've seen the poster, um, all kinds of stuff. I've talked to people about it. I understood it, but watching the YouTube video of it, I was like, really?
It was definitely such a product of its time.
Yeah.
It was very topical. I'm speaking more specifically about Food Rocks.
Okay, Kitchen Cabaret is what I watched on YouTube.
Okay, Kitchen Cabaret is quite kitschy.
Yeah, because
Not to, I guess
Food
that's a
Rocks
pun.
was more not current at the time music, right?
Yeah,
And rock and stuff like
it
that.
was like parody music.
Okay, and Kitchen Cabaret really wasn't.
No,
Yeah.
Kitchen Cabaret was a very straightforward um Sunday special.
Yeah, about the food pyramid essentially.
Yeah, it was very edutainment in its most like pure VHS health and safety type of short. Um, it lacked any like edge or any like
Yeah.
bite
Yeah.
or satire of any kind.
I was a little surprised at how bad I thought it was.
Yeah, it did produce an iconic song though,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Veggie Fruit Fruit song.
Yeah.
So that endured. It's funny what endures. I don't think the show was something that
Do you know Veggie Fruit Fruit was in Food Rocks too or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Um, Kitchen
I didn't see either.
The mark of a lot of the Epcot attractions is how well they endure
Yeah.
through time.
Yeah.
Kitchen Cabaret showed that it doesn't really endure through time. But
Except for that one.
But it's funny that Veggie Fruit
Yes.
endured through time, despite the fact that the attraction was like.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder if it was popular because it was before.
Kitchen Cabaret.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure upon opening.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure so too.
Because it was an opening day attraction with the land.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The pre-show that comes immediately to mind, just so I want to throw this out there in case anybody's like, what is she talking about? That I almost would put on my list as a great show, but doesn't count because it's a pre-show, is Ellen's Energy Adventure.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like 20 minutes long. Is it not?
Ellen's Energy Adventure, honestly, I would say is like, it was at least 60-70% show.
I know.
Because you were just sitting in your ride car.
And it was funny.
And taking in a bunch of screens. So really, it was so much, it felt so much like a show. I wouldn't say it was a show, but it felt like a show the whole time.
But that's one that would have made my top 10 if I could have included it, but I know I couldn't. Because
have we
it
done
was pre-show.
Official pre-show rankings?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we've covered a lot on this.
Yeah, we did pre-shows, and then we did separately, we did queues. Yeah.
Right, I remember
Those
that.
were crazy fun.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Maybe time to revisit at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, should I do some honorable mentions?
Sure.
Well, here, while we're talking about old stuff, here are some throughout time that, like, I didn't get to experience but are remarkable.
Okay.
I guess and worth mentioning. The Hunchback of Notre Dame show at Hollywood Studios, well, at the time MGM Studios. I've seen it on YouTube, and
I haven't even seen it on YouTube.
It got a lot of positive audience feedback. People really seemed to enjoy it, but the space was eventually
because it was lost back there in Streets of America.
It was in the backlot section of the park.
Okay.
And eventually, because the backlot was completely like reworked, basically to spite the backlot attraction because it wasn't very popular, the theater ended up going. I don't remember what the space eventually was used for, but it was kind of lost to the renovation process of Hollywood studios.
They also had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Were you going to mention that
No,
show back there?
that was like a street show, right?
Yes, so that's another one. Does that even count? I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't include it.
The little, like, the Ace Ventura street show.
Yeah.
Those were odd, fun little happenstances that would happen.
Were they scheduled?
I don't think so.
You know, I don't think this was that long ago. I want to say within the past 4 years.
Okay.
There was a pop-up show done by Dr. Strange back there in the Pixar area.
Yes.
And I really wish we would have gotten to see it, but it was pop-up. It was, and I think Michael told me it had to do with their licensing. It was kind of like a test run with
right,
anyway,
they're towing the line with the
Universal, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do.
Marvel superhero agreements.
Yeah. Anyway, I really wanted to see that, but the pop-up type stuff, you kind of have to luck into it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought those up. What was the one that I mentioned for? Oh, the Hunchback one. Yeah. Also, I have on here Legends of the Lion King. Legend of the Lion King was a show at Magic Kingdom that replaced the Mickey Mouse Revue. The Mickey Mouse Revue was the first Mickey Mouse attraction that opened at Magic Kingdom in the 70s.
Was it front of the castle show?
It was where PhilharMagic is now.
You've told me this.
Yes.
Told me this.
It was like an animatronic show of
Somehow
Mickey Mouse conducting an orchestra of all the Disney characters, basically. And that, when it went away, it was replaced by Legend of the Lion King, which was like a puppet show basically on a huge scale with physical sets, and the puppets were operated from below the stage, and Disney called them like Anima puppets or something like that, like
something fun.
So yeah, they had some catchy name for the fact that they were like really big, realistic to the film puppets that were operated from beneath the stage. And then when that went away, they decided to pay tribute to the Mickey Mouse Revue with the attraction PhilharMagic.
Love it.
Right. So it's like a whole thing. So all of that I felt like should be mentioned because like we didn't get to experience any of the things there.
Is that it that you're mentioning?
No.
Okay, because there's a couple I want to throw in here.
Oh, cool. Okay. Do you want to trade? Let's do one.
Oh, sure. I hadn't written anything down, but like having this conversation makes me think of stuff.
Same. I'm like adding right now.
And I told my mom last time I talked to her that I would mention this today. So we were talking about, I think we were talking about our hopes and dreams. It might have been that one, our hopes and dreams. I don't know which one she was listening to, but she said that the Tomorrowland Christmas show. No, it was the Christmas one. The Christmas episode. The Tomorrowland Christmas show that I was referring to. That when I was talking about it, it sounded like I was talking about on that stage that exists and you can see next to like Space Mountain, in between Space Mountain and Webway. But that's not what I was talking about. Did you know that's not what I was talking about?
I didn't at the time, but now that you're saying it, I know which stage you're talking about. When you're
on People Mover / Webway and you are going to the part where you see Project Tomorrow, you know what I mean? Epcot. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
you
the
see
Progress City.
Yeah, right before that, on your left, there you'll see a bunch of windows, but they're like blacked out now. But behind that was a stage, and it had bleacher seating, and everybody could see.
It was like
and
outside.
It's still there. Yeah, and it's still there. But it was great because you guys know I'm always complaining about how I can't see shows when they're like on the castle or whatever because the person in front of me is always taller than me.
Are you ready for some bad news? So this stage, we have a friend who performed at Disney World often as a child, and they performed at that stage a bunch. And I remember watching competitions on that stage because they like were open to the guests and stuff. That they demolished it like 2 years ago.
Oh my god!
For cast
why?
member parking.
Oh, for parking.
I told you it was bad news.
It's too bad they ran out of land. Okay, that is terrible news
That's
because
tough,
they
isn't
had
it?
a theater with the kind of seating where even people that are shorter can see, kids can see without having to sit on their parents' shoulders, which
Yeah.
then blocks the people behind you.
That
Um,
theater was built to host like a sci-fi musical
I
review
I
thing.
told her I bet that they stopped doing it because it didn't really make sense with Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
Because what the show that we saw every year there was a Christmas show.
right.
Not very, I didn't go theme
And it
necessarily.
wasn't like Robot Rockettes.
Yeah,
It
yeah, that would have
was
been cool though.
right. That's what I wanted
Yes.
for my Christmas
Right.
Tomorrowland
Right.
show. But so listen to the Armchair Imagineering episode. That was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that stage was kind of getting used for whatever
Yeah, yeah.
it
She said
seemed.
she had seen it at some point. I think sometimes you get a kind of evacuated back that way.
Yeah.
And not because of like a fire or something, just because of you're leaving at a time where fireworks are going off or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's happened to me before. I can't remember the circumstances. It was not an emergency. But anyway, um, she said looked like they were using it for storage
Yeah.
for a while. So yeah, now it's a parking lot. Okay.
Yeah.
That is
Usually,
bad news. That is bad news.
right. That is bad news. I'm
I
sorry.
just don't understand.
Right.
Because
Well,
they're
they
always
were.
going to have shows. They could always have shows. It'd be a great place for. I get the outside isn't great, but they're
Mhm.
doing it in all over the place.
Yeah, I can't tell. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe they had to reshuffle around the entire Tomorrowland parking lot because of Tron or something. And they had an important logistical reason to get rid of it, but they'll never tell us, and we'll never know.
Yeah.
It is hard though when stuff is replaced by not even in park stuff. You're
I
like, come
know.
on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I also have on here Splashtacular, which was a show at Epcot that happened between the Fountain of Nations and Spaceship Earth, where Mickey and his space suit dressed friends
Amazing.
were fighting like a dragon that came out of the bushes, and there was water works involved. This was the 80s, in case you couldn't tell.
Right.
And this is a super weird thing from Epcot history, but it comes up anytime I think of like the history of shows because they don't really do stuff like that anymore,
Yeah.
especially at Epcot.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting, which is like I think we've talked about on here the Barbie show that was at Epcot.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, the first time you told me about that, my jaw hit the floor.
Right. So originally the American theater over there, American Gardens Theater, was originally an uncovered theater when it was built, but they put a roof over it for the Barbie show because they got this contract with Mattel and they ended up doing this short show that was basically Barbie celebrating the different countries of the world. And that was the musical that they put in that space. Sure. Very strange. They also put Barbie in this pink limousine, and she'd travel around World Showcase before she went to her show, which was repurposed from Mickey Mouse's
I
limousine.
think of that kind of stuff every time I'm walking through World Showcase and I'm wall to wall with people, and I'm like, there used to be parades here.
Yeah.
People used to drive through here.
I've been.
Yeah, it's wild.
Double decker buses.
Yeah, and now you
parades.
can hardly walk like at a normal pace.
The parks are so busy now.
Yeah. Do you want me to go in?
Yeah, do one.
Okay, the Mickey's Birthday Land
Wow.
was a show that was really, really adorable.
I forgot about this.
Oh my gosh, so cute. I hardly remember it, but it's great. It was great. It was a surprise party, Mickey and his friends show. It was great.
This was in Magic Kingdom in Birthday Land. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. My brain. The only other one I have on here, and honestly this should be on my list because I experienced it in my life, but it won't be ordered, is Timekeeper.
That's on my list too.
That's on your proper list?
That's the one that I was saying I have a fuzzy memory of it, or I knew I went, but I don't totally remember it. But I've seen it on YouTube a bunch.
All right.
Because it's good.
Yeah, it is good. It stars Robin Williams.
Right. And it's like it's him being him. You know what I mean? Which is great. It's funny.
The animatronic is cool.
The animatronic is cool. The story is cool. The kind of edutainment of it all is cool.
Get ready for your back to hurt though, because you gotta stand up the whole time.
Yeah. Sure. He
No.
even tells you not to sit down.
Right. They were
You
very...
cannot time travel sitting.
And don't sit on the railings.
Don't lean on the railings.
Don't lean on them and don't sit on them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because kids used to get up on them and sit on them.
Oh, God.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, that one I put on my list, but I mean, yeah, it's not current, so I see why you would not.
Right. Do we want to do...
I've got, I think, one more that's not current that I could name now if you want.
No, I was going to say, do you have any honorable mentions that we have?
And that's the one. So I'll just go ahead and name it.
Oh, okay.
Lights, Motors, Action.
Oh, I didn't have this on my list, but honestly, if I would have remembered
I've got one more,
I would have
current.
put it.
Yes. It was a good show.
It was good at what it was trying to do.
Yes. I'm not saying I was going to it every time I went.
No. The seating situation was a little miserable.
It was a little miserable.
Outside and you were really jammed in with people.
It was bleachers. Yeah.
There go our backs again.
But the
this is the chiropractor episode.
But the show itself was like it was entertaining. You know what I mean? So
and high quality.
Yeah.
Beautiful set.
Yeah.
Impressive effects.
Right. Probably terrible in the middle of summer. I don't.
It was.
Yeah. I don't think I experienced it in the middle of summer.
Do you know what else I thought was endearing about it? Was the fact that it did that thing where it shows you how the movie's being made.
Yes, it fit
Very
in.
classic MGM.
Fit in with MGM. Yes,
that
exactly.
was nice.
Gosh.
I liked that.
Yeah.
Although it took a big old chunk out of my beloved tram tour.
I know.
Really,
I know.
really took a big old chunk out of it.
Yeah, right.
But it was a good show. If they would have replaced it, and you could see Herbie the Love Bug in that show. That was super fun.
Yeah.
I'll just go through these and I won't even talk about them. I'm just going to name my honorable mentions. One Man's Dream.
Okay.
Which is like the Walt Disney documentary and MGM. Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular.
That one's on my list.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to let you talk about it. Impressions de France, which is a film in Circle Vision. And
that one's not on my list. So you like it as that, not the Beauty and the Beast sing-along.
That Beauty and the Beast is in my boo category.
Oh my god!
I went with Morgan to see it one time, and literally afterwards we looked at each other and said, I don't think I'll ever do this again.
Wow, yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
But you love the history of France.
No, I just think that film is like beautiful and historic.
Yeah,
and I think that Beauty and the Beast short is dumb.
Yeah, okay.
So,
agree, okay.
So it is what it is.
Okay.
And the other one I have on here are the World Showcase players, which were, I'm going to do this super quickly, is in the UK Pavilion on that street next to that post thing. There's this little street, and a small group of actors used to come out with a cart, and they would set up in the middle of the street, and they had show times. And they would take a couple members from the audience. You would hate this. They would take a couple to cover your earplugs. Take a couple members.
Okay, with somebody else doing it.
Right. It's kind of funny when your family member does it.
Yeah.
They get taken from the audience, and then they have to help reenact either King Arthur, Lancelot. Wait, what's that? Oh, the Holy Grail. Yeah. The Holy Grail or Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, wow.
And they like had props in their cart, and it was kind of improv-y and fun. And it was just a cute little
They were
show.
actually audience members, though? This wasn't like a fake audience membership?
Yes, my mom was one time.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So that was big. But anyway, that was I loved when Epcot had more like random stuff popping up.
Sure.
We've discussed like the Christos acrobats that used to do a short routine in Future World by the Fountain of Nations. Epcot used to have a lot of that like stuff that would just pop up. They still have some of it around World Showcase, and that's nice, but it was cool when they had random entertainment offerings. Those are fun.
Yeah, those are fun.
Like the MGM ones, like the street ones.
Yeah. So the Canada Circle Vision didn't make your list, though.
It actually did. I just felt like I was naming too many. I was like, I've named every show.
See, my issue with the Canada one is because of the people that were in it, I assumed it was going to be funny, and it wasn't really.
The current one or the last? The
Martin Short and who is it? Catherine O'Hara.
Well, currently...
Did I just mess it up? and split two different things.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The first one was just Martin Short, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
And the current one is Eugene Levy.
That's right.
And
That's right.
Catherine O'Hara.
Both of them. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Neither was
okay.
really. I
They
just,
were not funny.
These are all people that I see on TV, and I'm like, oh, you're hilarious.
Ha,
You know
ha,
what I
ha.
mean? Yeah, exactly. You're a comedian. So when I see you doing this thing, I expected like it to be funny.
Right.
And there are funny moments, but it's not funny.
It doesn't have that good old.
It's like when we went to see Neil Patrick Harris at the Candlelight Processional, and I thought, oh, well, this is one of the funniest men alive. This is going to be great. Not one, you know what I mean? It was fully serious.
Yeah, he had
it
a
was
couple
him doing
moments,
church,
but it was pretty much,
yeah,
laborious,
and,
which is
and
what
that's,
it is.
That's my fault for having these expectations that, you know what I mean? They weren't going for funny. They were going for educational.
You know, on the Jungle Cruise,
I like a combination.
How it started out being like a serious recreation of a jungle voyage.
Yeah.
And then Mark Davis came and he added a bunch of comedic scenes to it.
Yeah.
I need them to do that.
Yes, exactly.
That needs this little facelift.
Yeah, if you're going to teach me something, please make it funny. You know what I mean? I think I like when they add humor into anything.
Me too. I think it makes it worth. At a theme park, the expectation is to have fun.
Yes, exactly.
So, like, you gotta liven it up, Kitchen Cabaret. That's why it became Food Rocks. You know?
Right.
Because they wanted that extra,
Right.
It makes it more approachable. It's not so much hard work to do the learning.
Yeah, right. Well, and even in the fun stuff, adding the humor. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Important.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think since I took out Timekeeper, now I have 10.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Well, these are all, so my top 10 are all current, so don't think that I'm rating, oh, how dare you, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to go, like, I think there used to be even more shows, so there's probably a lot that we're hardly aware of, especially if you're talking about, like, the little one in the UK, stuff like that.
Exactly.
There's a lot.
There is a lot.
Yeah. I didn't even think about until we started talking the shows like Sounds Dangerous with Drew Carey. I don't feel like I remember that well enough to rank it. Do you?
I only experienced
There was one before it too.
Yes, there
was. That one my dad was called up for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Audience participation.
Yeah, audience participation. The cornerstone of Disney MGM Studios.
Yeah.
I don't really remember it that well. I was young when it was Sounds Dangerous.
I liked the
It was a Drew Carey sound effects only show.
I liked the part after the show where you got let out into that room and there were different like kind of game type proppy things that you could make noise with, and there was like a sound booth that you could listen to. It was like surround sound. What is it called now?
Oh, I don't.
Where you can you told me.
Oh, spatial audio?
Something like that.
I think so.
Where you can, the way you're hearing it makes you kind of feel. Yeah.
Oh, ASMR.
That's what you said.
ASMR.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right. But back in the 90s when that was in these little booths, it was mind-blowing.
Right.
Yeah.
To get the tingles.
My family called it haircut because that's the part you really felt like your hair was getting cut because of the way it sounded
in the headphones. Yeah. So it was like an audio play happens when you put on these headphones, and some of the sound effects make you like feel things.
Yeah.
And it was hyper surround sound, like you felt everything moving around the room. I got to like experience somebody on the internet we pulled up did like a recreation of it. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't do the same things, but it helps you remember what they were going for.
Yeah. Yes. And I can't stress enough, this is way before
the current
this
wave.
Is right. So it was way before any of the technology that let you have similar experiences at home or even maybe in a movie theater, but not really, not to that level.
Or to elicit those results.
Right.
Like the results specifically of making unless you're watching a horror movie maybe, because they do that kind of stuff. But I was gonna say I thought that specifically and Sounds Dangerous itself were nice I liked them there because they paid tribute to a part of film production, like the sound department.
Yes.
So I always thought it was cool that they got a whole shout out in the form of like a building's worth of attractions. That's
Right.
nice.
And it was very interesting. I
It
get
was.
it's not really a thing anymore, I guess, right?
No.
I guess it has to be though. They've got to create sound, but now I guess maybe you just look it up.
To do what?
If you're making a movie and something's happening in the movie,
Oh, no, that's still a thing.
yeah, okay,
Foley artists.
okay,
They're still doing their thing.
okay.
Yeah, I recently saw a behind the scenes of, I don't remember what movie, but it was those guys that like rattle chains in a
Yeah,
bucket with a microphone to
that
make,
still happens.
Mhm,
Yeah, okay, okay.
which I think is great.
Yeah,
I'm sure like lower budget movies
we'll
will
just look at,
probably
yeah,
take sound libraries from the internet
right.
and paste them in. And sometimes movies will like take screens and insert them in from like libraries of stuff, libraries of sound effects that they have in studio. So not everything is created new for the movie, but like if they need to create a specific effect, I bet a lot of times they're still doing that shade in a bucket type stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, Bailey was telling me that when you're filming a movie, they will have to uh, film the room they're, no, they'll have to record the sound in the
Mm.
room they're filming in with nothing happening.
Room tone.
Yeah, wild,
Yeah.
wild. That was interesting to learn.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh, so you're gonna go with number 10?
Number 10 is the Country Bear Jamboree.
Okay, that's a little higher on my list.
I thought it might be.
But it's higher on my list, and when I wrote it down, I put parentheses Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas version?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, I'll let you talk about Country Bear Jamboree, as a matter of fact. And I should say, this is left off my honorable mentions, and I'm not going to bring up any more past shows, but I have to talk about it because I'm wearing a shirt for it, and it's Captain EO.
Oh yeah, good.
It was
That was another one I looked up and watched on YouTube.
yeah.
Please tell me what you were gonna say, and then I'll insert my
Thoughts.
I made him the shirt.
I was just gonna give like the brief what it is.
Oh, go ahead.
Was that?
But I want to hear what you think.
Oh, what I think about it?
Yeah.
Well, I love it. Just to a spoiler alert, I love it. In the 80s, George Lucas was brought into Imagineering, given a tour by Michael Eisner, and they ended up working out the details for making Star Tours happen. And at the same time, he roped him into directing Captain EO, which was like a sci-fi musical fantasy 3D 4D experience.
It was in the fine print of his contract.
That's honestly, somehow I get that impression.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, it looked passionately made because it was beautiful. I guess anything he touched turned to gold at that time. But it was like the first 4D movie, kind of ish, and it was like Michael Jackson starred in it. It was
And Angelica Houston.
and Angelica Academy Award winner.
Okay.
Angelica Houston.
Dame. I'm
Right.
just joking.
Francis Ford Coppola directed it. George Lucas produced it.
All
That's
these
what it was.
people.
Yeah, it was a big deal at the time. And Michael Jackson starred. It had 2 Michael Jackson songs in it. And it was basically this guy who had to save the world by dancing. But he was like a space pilot, and he had all these alien sidekicks, and they're gonna crash. It was very like old school Disney movie. It was very cute. But it utilized like in theater effects like a star field and fog and laser beams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I never got to experience all of that.
Oh, I didn't either. Okay.
So for that reason, I couldn't tell you how I feel about it.
Okay.
How do I feel about the actual film that I've seen on the internet? I love it, and I think the songs are great.
Okay. Yeah. Once they get to the song part, which takes a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot.
Then I'm in. But before that, it's crazy.
It's a lot of watching Michael Jackson act.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. This is
and talk to puppets.
This is coming from somebody that didn't see it live. So that takes a lot away from it, unfortunately.
Totally.
So if you're a person that hasn't seen it, yeah, and you're now watching it on YouTube, it is kind of, I want to say shockingly bad. But, I mean, you've got to give credit to the fact that it was made in the 80s. It's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be 3D. You're missing all of the effects that happen around you. But this is only going to make sense to a few people. If you watch Community, I was watching Community, and there's this episode in the last season where Abed is making a low budget uh, uh, community college movie that's set in space,
Okay.
and it's low budget,
Sure.
and this is like that. But he's making that in the 2000s versus the 80s, so I guess it's fair.
Got you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not fair. I guess it's not fair for me to say it's looks so bad when I didn't get to experience
it's the exact type of thing, because it's not like, I don't know, because it's not like something that has endured really. It's the perfect thing to be a cult classic.
Yeah,
because it is kind of cheesy and from the
that's
80s.
what
Know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it is kind of tinfoil walls and Michael Jackson doing a musical number. Like, it is very cheesy. And I think that's part of its charm. Obviously, I don't think it could have sustained decades long.
Well, I mean, I guess it can in the cheesy like
Retro.
B movie, kind of way.
Yeah.
It's just surprising to hear all of these big names associated with it.
And that's why I think like George Lucas. Anyway. Yeah, I love it. It's a personal favorite of mine. We are here to change the world. I love the message of it.
Yes.
It's like, it's gorgeous, but it is a cheese ball from the 80s.
It's a cheese ball for sure, yeah.
Right. Anyway, all of that was to talk about Country Bear Jamboree, not to talk about Country Bear Jamboree.
Right.
What's number 10 on yours?
Okay. I get that this is not a popular attraction now, but the Pixar shorts little show that they've got by Figment in the Imagination Pavilion, I think is worth going to.
Yeah,
now that they've got
feelings
Feast
about it
in there, which is my favorite Pixar short.
Oh, Feast.
Yeah, with the one with the dog.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I think they've made the most of the space for what it is, which is presenting shorts. However, knowing the history of that theater between Magic Journeys, Captain EO,
Honey, I Shrunk
the Audience, which like fully used that theater, like really.
This feels like a temporary thing.
Yeah.
But for a temporary thing, I like it.
I totally agree. For a temporary thing, I like how much care was put into the presentation.
The theater kind of moves, or the seats move, or whatever, and I don't know.
They incorporate a lot of 3D
It's a good break. It's a good break. Yeah.
It is a really nice. Honestly, so much of Epcot over there is just kind of a good break. The land is there, Figment is over there, and this is over there. I'm like, nap time, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, go on. What do you have? You have 9?
Yeah, for number 9, I put the Hall of Presidents.
Oh wow. All right.
Do you not have the Hall of Presidents?
I do not.
The Hall of Presidents I have at number 9 for a couple reasons. Number one, I think the current film in there is really good. And I have seen a YouTube video of the original film, and I thought that was pretty good. But there was a middle one there that I hated, that I thought was really, really boring. So I think the new one is good. And I like all of there's so many animatronics.
Yes,
I like the fact that there are
cool.
so many animatronics. I think it should be even shorter, despite the fact that they've shortened it every time. I still think it should be shorter. And I hate the weird political climate in there right now.
It got weird, yeah.
It's so awful.
Yeah, so
everybody just stop that, please.
That's why I didn't put it on my list. I just like, people have made this so dramatic.
Right.
Let's leave your politics outside of Disney.
While Walt Disney was alive, he envisioned an offshoot of Main Street called Liberty Street that had harnessing the lightning, which was about electricity that became the Carousel of Progress eventually. And it also had on it the Hall of Presidents. But technology wasn't there.
Right. So he just did the Lincoln one.
Right. But it got there and it became Lincoln. So the fact that we have a Hall of Presidents is cool in that way.
Yeah.
Is it kind of boring? Is it kind of weirdly political? yes, but it is historically significant, and I think the attractions are like mesmerizingly awesome, except for the Donald Trump one. Not because
Not politically,
anything,
yeah.
but just because I think the animatronic looks nothing like him.
Right.
So like that sucks. But everything else in there is great.
Yeah, right. I just, to me it would be cool if it were about the history of the presidents and we weren't doing the current, because then people get in there and want to scream and stuff, and I'm just not in Disney World for that.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're right, from a show point of view it does have the elements.
Yeah.
It's got edutainment, it's got the animatronics. It's like hard not to mention that, because we don't get as many animatronics anymore.
Not like that. Sometimes we do, like sometimes in Rise of the Resistance, but like very, very rarely.
Right.
Anyway, I think what you're saying about it being more about the history of the presidents, which it does a good job of explaining, but I think maybe Disney should do what you're suggesting, which is maybe like take a look at, maybe we don't have that end part where the current president gives an address. I don't think the audience can handle it anymore.
I think, yeah, the country's too split.
Right. It's tough right now. Maybe we come back to that later, and maybe for now we just put George Washington up there.
Yeah. Yes. Right. End it before anybody that is around. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that might be nice.
Yeah.
Might
ease
the tension a little bit.
Yeah. It just is unfortunate that I don't even feel comfortable going in there anymore, because I don't want to hear people yelling at an animatronic.
Last time I went in there, well, actually the last time I went in there it was fine. So maybe it's not every time.
It's not every time.
But the time before, there was like hostile bickering,
and it's going
and
when it's
the audience members.
Right, and when it's an election year, it's going to be worse, right? But now I've gotten to the point where I just don't go anymore.
Yeah, we had to go on the Carousel of Progress just for a palate cleanse.
Yeah,
it is a big, very beautiful tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
Shall I go?
Please.
Mine is the one that Jake just took me to in the America Pavilion in Epcot.
That's your number 9?
Yes.
That's my number 8.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Tell us about it.
Okay, so this is an edutainment, right? All right. I'm just gonna say it's interesting. I was thinking about this after. Was it last week we went and saw it? Last week?
Yeah, I think
within the last 10 days, something like that. What?
I was just remembering why we went.
See Beyonce?
To see Beyonce.
So Jake's been messing with me because I haven't seen the show in years.
Yeah.
And he's been messing with me that Beyonce stars in it now.
Okay.
And
are
you going to defend yourself? Go
no.
on.
I was just exaggerating a little bit. Like,
yeah, a little. He
bit.
said stars, so
right.
Joking. I don't know if he said stars.
I think I did.
But I'm not sure that I believed that she was in it at all, because
because it is out of place.
Yeah.
Not out of place, but surprising.
Well, that whole section, there's a section at the end where they kind of, here's what's going on now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The show is like war. Here's what's going on now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But here's what we got out of it. We got Beyonce. And before that, Madonna.
She's the end goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they'd have known in Valley Forge, this is what we're
fighting for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's edutainment. I had to put it on here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind edutainment. I like edutainment. I like history. I like learning about stuff like the wars. Doing it in kind of a fun musical way is fun for me. I get that that's not everybody's thing, but from a show point of view, animatronics and screens and statues that are lit up and like the whole theater itself is commendable.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So
top of the line. So
for me, I would say, and maybe it's because we just did it, but it made my top 10 because of all of those elements. This is I'm going to say a pretty expensive show.
Yeah. Especially, I'm sure, at the time.
Yeah.
Something I really appreciate about it is how, I didn't just say words. Something I really appreciate about it is how it like seamlessly blends background screen to
I love that.
Physical set to animatronics.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole little play, and it looks like a pop-up book or a storybook or something. Because everything is moving so fluidly with the story and with the animations and with the movement of the tracks of the animatronics and the sets. It just works together so harmoniously, that it gives the effect of something very significant.
Yes, yeah.
It really
I
works.
very impressive.
Yeah. Now, is it boring?
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
If you're not into the history or you've seen it before, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, or even if, yeah.
Yeah, Mickey's not there. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say, maybe if you just got like kids who are bored at the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who need something more stimulating.
Right. But
I could see that, but
yeah, but from a show,
it's
and
also
again,
long.
yeah, and it's a good place to take a break if nothing else.
Yes.
Because it's a
Totally.
really nice theater, and yeah, I like the edutainment, but I get that not everybody does.
Yeah, I also personally enjoy the edutainment, but as an attraction, if something like we're talking about, it doesn't have that dose of humor added to it,
Right.
you do lose guests. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You
There's a
lose
lot
some
of
interest.
movement and things changing constantly, though, that does help with the keeping you interested.
I think it's just impressive to watch all
Yeah,
that.
I do too, but I could see kids not liking it.
Right.
Right. So anyway, so it did make my list.
Nice.
What's your number 9?
My number 9 was
Or
Hall of
8?
Presidents.
Yeah.
My 8 was The American Adventure, so I'm gonna go to number 7.
Okay.
Which of current shows, which is Filler Magic.
Oh, that's my number 1. Yeah. That's I know that very control.
My jaw just hit the floor.
I'm going to get like, what's wrong with you, mail?
No, I'll leave that to you. Then.
Okay.
So you should just do another one.
Okay. Well, my next one isn't going to be on your list because it is a past, and that is Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
Aww.
Which
I did see this a bunch as a kid.
Yeah. I had a love-hate relationship with this because there's some very scary parts, but from an entertaining point of view, it's very entertaining.
Yeah.
They did that theater, they made the most of it. It was like a 4D, so you could feel stuff as well as see stuff in 3D. Yeah, it was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining.
It was, yeah. For the time, it was also like, we use the word immersive a lot to describe theme park attractions now. I think this was like hyper immersive.
Oh yeah.
The idea that you were at an award show, the Institute of somebody is presenting Inventor of the Year to Wayne Zielinski.
Right.
And you're at like an award show. That idea in itself, like you're in a theater, the award show is on the stage. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And then everything goes wrong and the effects start coming out. Like it's just a well thought through mechanism for 3D fun. 4D fun.
It's like it could be the plot of another like movie.
Whatever.
So, yeah.
It's like Muppets.
Yeah.
It's like Muppet show.
So yeah, I think it was good. Good show.
Yeah. And the blending of practical effects with the on-screen effects was also great.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah.
I certainly would prefer that to be there than the Pixar.
I do too.
shorts.
Yes, I agree because that was like a ride. You know what I mean? It was super entertaining for everybody. It wasn't where you were like, oh, we need to take a break, so let's go see this, which is what we do for Pixar.
And by the way, in the Pixar one, like everyone's talking through it. No one's treating it like it's a thing.
Right.
This was treated like an actual
show. I really put the Pixar one on my list because I just feel like it's a little underrated.
I agree.
I think everybody skips it, and I think that
we did it together that was my first time, like a couple
because
weeks
he always
ago.
skips it, right?
I always skip it because it's shorts.
Yeah.
So like, and you don't think it's gonna be anything at all.
Right.
It's like that one in Hollywood Studios, the Mickey's Vacation Fun. I've still never been in there.
Oh yeah, I did that.
It's just a cartoon, right?
Yeah.
At least the Pixar one is like effects and stuff.
Right. I don't remember if the one in Hollywood Studios has effects. I don't remember, so I'm not gonna say.
Isn't that where Sounds Dangerous used to be?
Yes.
Wow, what a fun coincidence that we ended up here. It's always back at Hollywood Studios for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? Sorry.
And I'm not saying you should do that Pixar thing if you're coming for 1 week out of every
Oh.
couple of years. But if you're a local, you're here all the time, you need a break, it's a good place to.
Or just a repeat visitor.
Yeah, repeat
looking
visitor.
to do something fun.
Mm-hmm. It's not very long.
It's low key.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's undervalued.
Yeah.
Low key attractions.
Right.
Sprinkle them in.
Yeah.
Ride the people mover.
Can you believe we talked too long again?
I can.
You
yeah.
can.
So obviously this discussion is not going to be able to fit into one single.
You know what the
podcast episode.
not issue, but you know what's making turn this into so long, I think, is because we did past and present, and there's just a lot of shows. When we first talked about doing this, we're like, well, there's not really that many, so.
I was only thinking, here's where my problem was. I was only thinking about the current shows.
Yeah.
So when you were like, started naming the old ones, my fingers were on fire because I was typing like, oh my god, I forgot everything. I forgot everything.
And I was like, does this count? Does this count? Does this count?
Yeah,
because we started off like, should we just do shows that have a screen?
Yeah.
And then, no, we can't just do shows that have a screen. There aren't enough. We're not going to have enough to talk about.
But I actually
we
think
probably could have.
We literally could have, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
here we are.
In this first episode, we probably ended up talking mostly about older shows, and then a couple current ones. So if you want to hear us finish our list of our favorite current shows, then you can check in with us for part 2 next week.
I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of bouncing around on both parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how we do.
That is how we do.
And if you like how we do, then you should subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah.
If you're on a listening platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart Podcasts. Gosh, there's too many to count.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the podcast, and if you would like to leave us a review, letting us know how much you enjoyed our spectacular journey through Disney theme park
Not
shows.
Spectacular.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, when we were picking this topic, he's like, not spectaculars, not spectaculars.
But they are spectacular. They're just not spectaculars.
Mm-hmm. So confusing.
Then you should.
Our texts back and forth were like so long trying to figure out what this meant.
Oh my god. You can leave us a review.
Yes, please.
Yes. And now I know you want to.
Yeah.
And if you want to see our smiling faces, then you can check out the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, and if you're watching us on YouTube, if you could like the video and subscribe, that super helps us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We also have short form content on Instagram and TikTok, and you can follow us there at Navco. That was my AI impersonation. Sorry, Neverland Navco.
Yep. And we have an Etsy shop called Neverland Navigation. You just search Neverland Navigation on Etsy, and there are some things you can look at, but really mostly what we do is custom stuff. So if you want to get on the Etsy shop and then click send owner a message, send me a message. Tell me what your favorite Disney stuff is. If you loved Captain EO, tell me you loved Captain EO, and I'll send you some options of something you might like. No pressure. Just like we'll have a conversation.
It'll be worth your while.
Yeah.
Spend time over there. Well, hey, that was it for part 1. And until the next part of this episode, we'll see you
on our next adventure.
Goodbye.